Brew Nation, welcome back to another episode during quarantine month now. So I got a question from LinkedIn, and by the way, we're doing all throughout quarantine and maybe even beyond. Who knows? We're doing a daily, Monday through Friday, Skype Guru Nation meetup. Absolutely free. It only supports 50 people at a time, so get there early. The link will be underneath the video, and it's literally every day we're just talking about research with other researchers, people that want to get in the industry. So it's good stuff. So anyways, today, and if you the link is here, but you can also message me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and I can send you the link there as well. So today I'm answering a question. Okay, I'm gonna read this person's question from LinkedIn. So hey Dan, I'm learning so much from you. It's like Netflix. I spent 3 hours today watching your videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I wanted to request a topic. Can you make a video on IMV report review from the sponsor perspective? It would be helpful. So yes. While I must add that I am not a sponsor, I am working on an investigator-initiated trial where my CRO is the CRO, and we're basically semi-sponsor because we're working hand in hand with the sponsor. And so, I mean, for all essential purposes, we're doing what a sponsor would do. So this may not be the process at every pharma company, but this is, again, I can only talk about what I do. So you're in luck. I'm going to actually review for the study I'm mentioning. I'm going to actually review an IMV report from one of my CRA Academy graduate. So whenever you graduate from the CRA Academy, you can do monitoring. You do monitoring for this study, for this breast cancer study. And right now during coronavirus, everyone's doing remote monitoring. So we're doing it remotely. But this one I'm reviewing, this was actually one of the last students that did it in person. So I'm reviewing her report, and I'm just going to go through some of the sections. Because if you've seen an IMV report, they're pretty much all the same. I mean, the wording might be a little different, the sections may be in different order, but essentially it's the same thing. So the first thing, and I'm looking at it live too, and I already noticed something here, so I'm going to comment. So the first section, staff and facilities. Okay, does the investigator continue to fulfill obligations? Does the site personnel have adequate time to fulfill their obligations? So all these things they put yes. They put yes for like the normal answers. They put no when it's appropriate. Have the study facilities changed since the previous visit? They put no. And then there are things that are not applicable, which I need to make sure. Like, did the monitor meet with the investigator and appropriate staff? Yes. What's not applicable? Was the PI informed of significant deviations in the study conduct and or CRF completion? So there were no deviations, so they put not applicable. The first thing I noticed from this section, and every section has comments. Every monitoring report section has comments. The first thing I noticed, which is first of all, it's a Alcoa-C violation. Okay, the comments are blank in this section. So I'm gonna mark it up and put comments. I'm gonna add, please add comments. Okay, so that's the first thing. So as a lead CRA or as a sponsor, because remember, lead CRAs review the CRA work first. They review the reports, they get the revisions, and then they send it to the sponsor. So then the sponsor would be looking at a cleaner version, hopefully, of the report. It hasn't gone just through the CRA. It's gone through a lead CRA, hopefully gone through at least one revision, usually one revision, maybe a couple revisions, and then it goes to the sponsor. Okay. Next section is the IRB, Institutional Review Board, IRB sections. Are IRB approvals up to date? Yes. Have the protocol been revised since the last visit? No. Has the informed consent been revised since the last visit? No. And then there's a few other things. I'm not going to bore you. Comments. Here they put comments. Numbers 12 and 13 that document the changes for the protocol and or ICF. No changes for protocol or ICF. So it's not written properly. So usually not usually, most of the times in these reports, the CRA is writing. So I'm putting please write CRA observed, etc., etc., with more details. Um, so this is again, the comments here is not blank at least, but it's not detailed enough, and it's not even written in a complete sentence. Like, it just says no changes for protocol or ICF, but it doesn't have details. So I like details in my reports when I'm reviewing our students' reports. The next section is subject status. Is recruitment enrollment rate as scheduled? I mean, anyone who gets the book, the Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research, or the audio book, you get these templates. These are monitoring report templates. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, and I've done videos on breaking down this entire template before, so I'm not going to do that. This is a question about how do you review from like as close to a sponsor site as you can get one of these monitoring reports. So here they put comments. Projected enrollment for site was 18, but only 3 subjects have been screened. Screening and enrollment log of the 2 new subjects not seen. Um, okay, so here I would add CRA to issue this as an action item. Okay, so that's that. Next section, protocol adherence. So basically they're looking at, okay, were deviations, was there a deviation log? There was no deviations this time. So the comments here are subject eligibility for the 2 new subjects, MJ and BC, has not been reviewed due to the absence of source document. So here I'm going to add please enter patient numbers. Because usually on these reports you don't put the initials of the patient, you put the number. What's the patient number? Has not been reviewed due to the absence of source documents. CRA to issue an action item. Okay, so that's good. Are source documents adequate? So the next section, CRF review, source data verification. For this study, this is an investigator-initiated trial. There is no EDC. Okay, it's just all the data is being gathered at the end of the study. We're crunching it all, we're putting it all together, and we're giving it along with these reports to the sponsor, who's going to hopefully invest in a phase 2 study. Okay, because this is just an investigator-initiated study. So here's the SDV. Source documents for new subjects. MJB is needed. So I'm going to put the same thing. Please refer to subject numbers and reference that no EDC is used for this study. I'm typing slow because I'm holding my caffeine-free tea. Okay, safety aspects is the next section. Basically any SAEs. So here SAE is checked. So it's checked yes. So atherosclerosis of the aorta and major branches seen in subject. So here it's only one sentence. Okay, CRA observed. Again, we need to put and add about a paragraph to the comments section. So it's not enough to just list the SAE unless the site doesn't have the documentation. You know how when there's a SAE, there's an initial and then there's a final, and then there might be follow-ups in between. So something like this would be okay if it was just an initial one and there wasn't enough information. But I know that there is more information about this, so they need to put more details because sponsors are going to look at this, right? So then there is subject safety. So here there's a chart of the SAE. So there's the date of the SAE. So here's a little bit more detail, but I still want more details in that comment section. It's not enough to have one sentence. Investigational product is the next section. The IP is there already on site. I mean, it's any oncology office will have these things. Again, the comments are only FedEx tracking label seen. Add more details, please. Okay, so It's basically the moral here is you gotta have detailed comments section. Okay. Next is the laboratory and supplies. Don't expect anything different here. Shipping label of lab sample seen. So again, CRA observed and more details. How many, etc. Okay. Regulatory binder review. Was regulatory binder reviewed at this visit? If no, provide date of last review in comments section. So NA was, why are these NA? They put NA for all of them. So I'm going to put here, why are these NA? Regulatory documents are available. So they need again, and the comments here, 1572 has not changed. We need to put complete sentences. CRA observed after regulatory is reviewed. So in this case, in this example, okay, and I know this is an intern, okay, so they're learning. They're still learning. Technically, it's my job to be the CRA, but I'm letting them do it, and then I'm reviewing. And I do much more review than this. I'm just condensing it for this video. Um, they are not. I can tell that they didn't look at the regulatory documents. Maybe they didn't have time. They ran out of time because there's a lot of data for this study. Maybe this should have been like a 2-day monitoring visit, but there is a lot to put in there. I mean, protocol deviation log. I know the subject enrollment log is not up to date. Site monitoring visit log, and they just put not applicable for all these things. So that's wrong. They need to go back and look at it. And for us, now that we're doing remote monitoring, we actually have all these things scanned in a virtual workspace. So it should make it easier for the CRA doesn't have to go back to the site, or the intern in this case doesn't have to go back to the site. They do remote monitoring. And by the way, during this pandemic, remote monitoring, maybe elements of it are going to continue. You know, it's all about having the personnel at the site to scan these documents. You know, and in our case, we're the ones scanning these things when we go on site so that we can do remote monitoring. Any other issues to report is the last section. Um, More information is needed about the SAE. Okay, so I'm going to put what, so I'm adding a new comment. What additional info CRA observed? So again, you never write I did. If you're the CRA completing the report, you never write I did, or just not write anything like that. Like in this case, they put action taken after discovery of SAE not clear, more information is needed. You should say CRA observed that the action taken after the discovery of the SAE is not clear, more information is needed. CRA listed this as an action item, and then it should go in your action item, which is the next section. And then so those are the issues for the action items, and they're not the action item's not complete. So after revision, please add other action items. Okay, so you can see how being a CRA is kind of hectic because you're not just monitoring one site like per week. Okay, you're usually monitoring a few sites per week, and then you have reports for each one of those, and then you have these reports getting revised by your line manager or your lead CRA before they actually get sent to the sponsor. So that's the from as close as you can get. Sorry guys, I'm not a sponsor. As close as you can get to a sponsor review of a monitoring report. I don't know if it's I this is like a light version. Of course, could be an entire course on this. All right, so hopefully it helps, and let me know what you guys think, and talk to you soon.